Yani bu en baştan dediğim gibi kriz yönetimi bir parçası.
Evet.
Şu an bir şeyi denediler. İran'ın ne tepki vereceğini gördüler. Bir dahaki sefere daha bıçağı derine saplayacaklar. Daha sonra daha da derine saplayacaklar. Böyle İran'ı bir yola çekecekler. Ama daha henüz yani bir de bölgesel savaşı biz yanlış anlıyoruz.
Bu çok ilk adımları diyorsunuz.
Sanıyoruz ki yani bölgesel savaş deyince Suudi Arabistan, Katar hepsi savaşa girecek. Böyle bir şey yani artık cerrahi dediğimiz...
Yani insanların zihninde çünkü o büyük dünya savaşları,
yani
okutulan...
bütün ülkelerin katıldığı bir savaş falan söz konusu. Yani Hürmüz
Ama
Boğazı'nda...
ben Sait Hoca'ya bir şey sormak istiyorum.
Buyurun Ahmet Bey. Rica edeyim hızlıca sizden.
Evet, ben de Said Bey gibi düşünüyorum öncelikle. Şimdi İsrail ile İran'ın savaşa girmesi demek Netanyahu'dan çok İran'ın sonunu getirebilir. Yani Molla rejiminin sonunu getirebilir. O nedenle çok bu konularda dikkatli olmak lazım. Bence özellikle İran bu hareketiyle bence Netanyahu'nun konumunu güçlendirdi. Çünkü Batı Avrupa'da özellikle insanların sokaklara döküldüğü, Hamas nedeniyle Gazze'de yaşananlardan büyük bir güç kaybetmişti İsrail devlet olarak ve hükümet olarak. Şimdi İran'ın bu saldırısı aslında bulunmaz nimet Netanyahu için. Tam da güçlenmeye başladığı bir durum. Ve bundan sonra önümüzdeki günlerde de herhalde Netanyahu'ya karşı olacak olan hükümet karşıtı toplantılarında sonu gelmiş gibi gözüküyor. Çünkü İran'ın böyle bir harekete girişmesi zaten İsrail güvenlik düşüncesindeki Said Bey bu konularda gerçekten çok iyidir, onu söyleyeyim. Yani özellikle güvenlik odaklı bir toplumsal bakış açısına sahip olan İsrail toplumunun ve hükümetinin İran'ın bu hareketi nedeniyle bana göre tam da daha fazla güçleneceği bir duruma gitti ve Netanyahu güçlü bir lider olarak önümüzdeki dönemde yer alabilir tarih sahnesinde. Eğer Donald Trump da seçimleri kazanırsa o zaman durum daha da ileriye gidecek. Unutmamak lazım. Donald Trump'ın damadı Kushner, zaten o da Yahudi. Yani İsrail kökenli. O nedenle nereden bakarsanız bakın, bana göre İran'ın şimdi geri adım atması veyahut da bu işi burada bitiriyoruz demesi şu aşamada yarattığı, yani attığı taşın ürküttüğü kuşları ne kadar olduğu sorusunu beraberinde getiriyor. Ama İran iki şıkla karşı karşıya, ya devam edecek İsrail ile çatışmaya veyahut da bu aşamada kalacak ve Netanyahu'nun güçlenmesine neden olacak. Benim görüşüm böyle.
Hüseyin Hocam teşekkür ediyorum katkılarınız için. Bu arada Ahmet Bey'e de söylemiş olayım. Tahmini doğru ama nasıl bir önleyici faaliyet olduğu hususunda bir şüphe var. Az önce ekranlarımıza yansıdı. Havada bir patlama duyduk. Ramallah semalarından canlı yayındaydık. Bir hava aracının imha edildiğini gördük. Büyük ihtimalle hava savunma sistemleri, dronları, SİHA'ları artık ulaşmaya başlayan o hava araçlarını imha ediyor diye tahmin etti Ahmet Yavuz da. Şu anda CNN doğrulatmış kendi kaynaklarından, CNN International. Şimdilik tespit edilen füzelerin imha edilmeye başlandığı doğrulandı. Onu söyleyelim ama demir kubbe mi yoksa uçaklar faaliyetiyle mi bunun olup olmadığına ilişkin bir şüphe varmış. CNN de bu konuda bir şerh düşmüş. CNN International yayında da şu anda uluslararası medyada bu durum tartışılıyormuş. Bu arada 700'den fazla noktada siren çalıyormuş şu anda İsrail'de. Bunlar CNN International'a yansıyan detaylar. Reuters ve AFP kaynaklı gelen tüm bilgileri de aktarmaya çalışıyorum. Peki bu arada birazdan sahadan bağlantılarımız başlayacak demiştim. Başkentlere gideceğiz demiştim. Gideceğiz. Birazdan mesela Washington'a döneceğiz efendim. Beyaz Saray'dan bir meslektaşımıza döneceğiz. Ve hani birçok iddia duyduk ya Biden'la ilgili, Biden'ın toplantısıyla yok ulusa sesleniş yapacak, yok yapmayacak. Birazdan tam detayları alacağız. Turan Bey ayrılmadan final sözünü alayım hızlıca.
Çok teşekkür ederim. Aslında programın başından beri buna dair bir yorumlarımız oldu. Yaklaşık olarak aynı şeyleri tahmin etmiştik. Eğer sabaha kadar bir hedef vurulmazsa İsrail'de bu konu kapanır gibi görünüyor. Zaten İran tarafından yapılan açıklamada bunu teyit ediyor. Şimdi Hares'te bir haber var. Belki de bu patlamayı izah ediyor. Bir patlama olmuş ve bunlar havada yok edilmiş. Balistik bir füze. Yani İran'ın söylemiş olduğu balistik füze göndereceğiz iddiasında
doğru ama
doğrulayan
İsrail
bir
Devlet
şey.
Televizyonu'nda mesela İsrailli yetkililerin ağzından şimdi gördüğüm açıklamayı İsrail'e balistik füze saldırısına ilişkin elimizde henüz bir gösterge yok diyorlar.
Tabii çok kirli bilgi de var.
Tabii.
Bu tabii
Dezenformasyon
önemli bir gazetenin yaptığı açıklama. Sonuç olarak elimizde net bir veri var. İran tarafından yapılan, daimi temsilciliği tarafından yapılan bir açıklama diyor ki bizim için konu kapanmıştır. Maksat hasıl olmuştur diyor tam Türkçesiyle. İran yarın kendi halkına dönüp diyecek ki gördünüz mü biz güçlü bir devletiz. Ta İsrail'i kadar vurduk. Yerde bırakmadık yapılan saldırının karşılıksız bırakmadık. Gereğini yaptık. Dünya kamuoyuna da bizi hafife almayın, biz büyük bir devletiz. O soru işareti tırnak içerisinde ama kendisini öyle anlatacak ve diyecek ki bakın biz İsrail'i vurabilecek kapasiteye sahibiz. Yarın nükleer kapasiteye sahip olduğumuzda elimizde çok daha büyük bir güç olacak. Öte yandan kendi müttefiklerine, Lübnan'daki Hizbullah'a, Suriye'ye, güneyde Yemen'e verdiği bir mesaj da var. Keza Irak'taki Şiilere de verdiği bir mesaj var. Merak etmeyin ben bölgede güçlü bir devletim. Dolayısıyla onun için maksat hasıl oldu. Öte yandan İsrail'in herhalde yapacağı şey şu, gördünüz mü yine mağduru oynamaya başlayacak. Ben tehdit altındayım. Onun üzerinden yürüteceği bir politika olacak. Fakat burada Amerika'nın, İngiltere'nin bu durumdan çok da hoşnut olmayacağını düşünüyorum. Bu kadar ciddi problemlerin olduğu bir dönemde İsrail'in şımarıklığı ve bu takındığı tavır nedeniyle onların da bir fatura ödemek ya da bunu önlemek için harcayacağı çabalarda ilave bir bedel olacak onlara. Dolayısıyla bu gece bu konu biter diye tahmin ediyoruz ama yansımaları gelir. Bunun ikinci, üçüncü aşaması olur mu onu günler belirleyecek ama Türkiye'nin bu noktada sükunetle olayı takip etmesi, İkincisi hava sahasını açmamış olması ya da kapatmış olması önemli. Kürecik'le ilgili kararını tekrar gözden geçirmesi özellikle komutanım da söyledi. Ben de aynı şeyi söylüyorum. Bir siyasetçi olarak bir talebim daha var. Hassas gelişmeler oluyor bölgede. Belki de parlamentoda özel bir oturumla bunların ele alınması ve bizlere resmi bilgilerin, doğru bilgilerin verilmesi sanıyorum doğru olur diye düşünüyorum. Umarım bu gece burada bu konu kapanır. Çünkü bunun Türkiye'ye de çok ciddi yansımalar olacaktır.
En azından insanlık namına bile öyle. Evet. Turan Bey çok teşekkürler. Bu arada İsrail sınırları içerisinde az önce Ramallah'ta canlı yayında yakalamıştık. Bir hava aracının imhasını artık İsrail sınırlarını aşan hava saldırılarının önleyici faaliyetlerle birlikte yayınımıza yansıması şu anda elimize ulaşan sıcak görüntüler. Artık İsrail sınırları içerisinde bu patlamaları duymaya başladığını ifade eden Reuters ve AFP'nin sadece görgü tanıklarına dayandırdığı haberde bu görüntülerle teyit edilmiş oldu. Bu arada İsrail kanallarında üst düzey İsrailli yetkilinin İran'ın benzeri görülmemiş bu saldırısına önemli bir karşılık vereceğiz diye bir sözü var. O alıntılanıyor şu anda İsrail medyasında. Bunu söyleyelim. Önemli karşılığın ağırlığı ne olur? Burada konuştuklarımızı ya da genel beklentiyi boşa çıkaracak çok yüksek bir saldırı mı olur öyle tahmin edilmiyor ama en azından söz itibariyle önemli bir karşılık vereceğiz demişler. İsrail bunu söylüyor. İran eğer ciddi bir karşılık bulmazsa biteceği yönünde sinyaller paylaşıyor. ABD'de toplantı var. Tahran'dan, Tel Aviv'den canlı yayındayız. Şu anda da o hava araçlarının diyeyim hala ne tip bir imhanın gerçekleştiğini bilmiyoruz. Hatta az önce CNN International'dan alıntı yaptım. Orada bile bu durum tartışılıyor. Bunlar işte o hava araçlarıyla mı yapılıyor yoksa teyit edemediğimiz işte demir kubbe aracılığıyla mı yapılıyor? Onları bilemiyoruz şu anda. İsrailli yetkililerden belki de kendi televizyonlarına bu konuda bir açıklama gelebilir. Veya İranlı yetkililerden bunların nasıl önlendiğine ilişkin bir izah gelebilir. Tüm bunlara bakacağız. Birazdan detaylıca sınıra girmeye başladı. Demek ki bunların onlarcasını şimdi canlı yayında görmeye başlayacağız. Efendim Tahran'dan canlı yayınımız devam ediyor ekranın solunda. Ekranın sağında gördüğünüz Tel Aviv görüntüsü ise bir video kaydı. Az önce ekranlara taşıdık tam ekran olarak. Şimdi de ekranın sağ tarafında tutmaya devam ediyoruz. Birazdan tekrar canlı yayına geçeceğiz ama bu önemli bir eşik. Çünkü İsrail sınırlarını ilk geçen saldırı nüveleri olduğunu söyleyelim İran tarafından. Peki bu arada şimdi dönmeye başlayacağız. Hazır mı? Peki hemen dönelim efendim. Begüm Dönmez değerli meslektaşımız. Şimdi Voice of America Türkçe'den Beyaz Saray muhabiri. Teyide muhtaç bir sürü bilgi gördük. Bazıları teyit edildi sonra değiştirildi. En azından bizim ulusal medyamıza yansımaları böyle. Begüm Dönmez. Teyitli bilgileri sizden almaya başlayalım. Biden ulusa sesleniş konuşması yapacak dendi. Hayır yapmayacak diye yalanlandı. Tüm kurmaylarını topladı. Uzun saatler toplantı yapacak dendi. Hayır beklendiğinden çok kısa sürecek deniyor. İşte Fox News'ta geçen altyazı çok alıntılandı medyamızda. Az önce ben de bahsettim. CENTCOM komutanının İsrail'den ayrılması bir mesaj mı değil mi? Kuşkusuz bunlar da konuşulacak. Bu arada yeni görüntüler. Bunlar da İsrail sınırlarını aşan mı arkadaşlar? Adres belli mi arkadaşlar? Hangi şehir olduğu? Peki bunlar Gazze'den kaydedilen görüntüler öyle mi? Evet şu anda teyit ettiğimiz bilgi bunlar Gazze'den insanların cep telefonlarıyla kaydettiği görüntüler. İran füzelerini engelleme girişimleri. Ses duyabiliyor muyuz? Peki. Az önce elimize ulaşan görüntüler bunlar. İnsanlar cep telefonlarıyla imha edildiği anları, İran İHA'ları İsrail sınırlarını aştı. İsrail savunma sistemleriyle şu anda havada imha ediyor. Tabii bunların arasından sıyrılan olacak mı? Herhangi bir noktayı vuran olacak mı? Vurduğu nokta neresi olacak? Mesela bu savaş senaryolarını konuştuğumuz ilk dakikalar itibariyle İsrailli yetkililer hedeflenen noktaların kendi istihbari bilgileri ışığında sadece askeri hedefler olduğunu düşündüklerini, herhangi bir yerleşim birimine İran'dan ateşlenen, kaldırılan dronların, SİHA'ların ulaşmayacağını düşündüklerini söylemişlerdi. Aynı doğrultuda bilgiler gelmeye devam edecek mi? Bu önemli. Tamamı imha edildi mi? Aradan sıyrılan, sızan olacak mı? Bunlar şimdilik cevap bekleyen sorular. Evet, sesli hali elimize ulaşmış. İHA ve füzeler Tel Aviv'den görülüyor. Tabii İsrailli yetkililer az önce füzeler konusunda bir teyidimiz yok dedi. Ama bunların tamamının drone olmadığı düşünülüyor. Görüntülere de dayanarak bir yandan.
Ya Allah. Sual. Ya Latif.
Burak Bey buyurun.
Ya Rabbi Allah madrub zalimin ve zalimin. Ya Rabbi.
Gerçekleştiren sistemler İsrail hava savunma sistemleri. O füze intikal doğrultusundan görebilirsiniz ama ilk başta gördüklerimiz çok yüksek ihtimalle İsrail Hava Kuvvetleri'ne ait unsurların yüksek ihtimalle F-15'leri engellediği füzeler diye.
Dolayısıyla iki koldan önlüyor. Hava
Tabii,
savunma sistemlerini hem uçaklar vasıtasıyla hem demir kubbe vasıtasıyla.
Evet, bu son gördüğümüz görüntüler büyük ihtimalle demir kubbenin ya da diğer alçak irtifa hava savunma sistemlerinin, katmanlı hava sistemlerinin işi. Ama ilk gördüğümüz görüntüler çok yüksek ihtimalle jetlerin, savaş uçaklarının engellediği dronlar ya da herhangi bir şekilde bir füze ya da seyir füzesi olduğu çok daha muhtemel olabilir. O hızlı intikaline bakacak olursak. İsrail Savunma Bakanlığı da bir not yayınlamış Telegram kanalından. Çok büyük ölçüde İsrail'de falan bütün tehdit unsurlarının çok büyük ölçüde elimine edildiğinden bahsetmiş Telegram kanalında. O yüzden birkaç daha verinin ışığında bu akşamın kapandığını söylemek mümkün. Çünkü ne İran'da askeri birlikler sefer görev yerlerinde toplanmış bir birlik toplanması yok. En azından böyle bir istihbarat paylaşımı yok ki bu istihbaratın Amerika'dan çıkması muhtemeldi ama böyle bir şey konuşulmadıysa İran'ın da daha kapsamlı bir harekatı en azından bu aşamada değerlendirmediğini söylemek mümkün. Ama çıkaracak 2 tane ders var. İran bu akşamki askeri harekatıyla komuta kontrol yeteneklerinin çok daha beklenenden gelişmiş olduğunu ancak askeri niteliklerinin beklenenden çok daha en azından kendi iddiasından çok daha zayıf olduğunu göstermiş oldu diye düşünüyorum ben.
İran sokaklarından ilk görüntüler. Kutlamalar var şu anda İran sokaklarında.
İşte tam da halkına verdiği mesajın yansımaları konuştuğumuz gibi.
Şimdi bakın fırlatılan füzelere dayanak olarak da gösteriliyor bunlar. Drone olmadığı vasıtasıyla paylaşılıyor şu an itibariyle ve onların altında kutlamalar var şu anda. Bunlar zannediyorum birkaç saat öncesinin görüntüleri. Yeni fırlatılmaması hesabı üzerinde duruyor çünkü güvenlik kaynakları. Birkaç saat öncesinden belki de kutlama görüntüleri şu saniye itibariyle neler olup bitecek? Balistik füzenin fırlatılmasını kutladıklarını söyleyen arka plan konuşmaları var tüm bu videolarda. Görüntülerde de askeri kaynaklar drone olmadığını söylüyorlar zaten. Daha net görüntüler elimize ulaşana kadar elbette bir şerh düşmek lazım ama burada değerli askeri uzmanlardan da benzeri yorumlar geliyor.
Şu ana kadar anladığım İran mahdut hedefli sınırlı bir harekat planlamış. Ve bu işin bittiğini de zaten açıklamalardan görüyoruz. Yani etki odaklı bir operasyon bu. Bir de göstere geldi. Yani günler öncesinden haber vererek yani İsrail'in gerekli emniyet tedbirleri almasını bir şekilde müsaade ederek bu esasında ben demin hocamız farklı bir yorum yaptı ama ben şöyle düşünüyorum. Tehdidin bir şekilde ucunu İsrail halkına göstermiş oldular. Yani bu gelişmelerin Netanyahu iktidarı için iyi şeyler getirmeyeceğini düşünüyorum. Ve sanıyorum göstere geldiği için, mahdut hedefli olduğu için de Batı'nın evet bazı toplantılar, açıklamalar var ama ne Amerika'dan ne Batı'dan ne bileyim sert açıklamaların dışında ciddi bir karşı duruş da sergilenmeyeceğini değerlendiriyorum. Zaten İran operasyonu bitirdiğini de bir şekilde açıkladı. Bu gelişmelerin çünkü bir anlamda iç politikada bu sorgulanacak İsrail'de. Çünkü halkta bir korku da oldu. Bu İsrail'de Netanyahu iktidarının sonunu getirebilecek gelişmeleri de tetikleyebilir. Zaten Amerikan yönetimi de Netanyahu'dan memnun değil. Onun alternatifini de hazırlamaya çalışıyor.
Ürdün'ün başkenti Amman'dan da düşen füzelerin, imha edilen füzelerin görüntüleri geliyor. Amman'da vurularak düşürüldü notuyla paylaşılıyor. Teyide muhtaç bilgiler çünkü aynı dakikalarda Amerika Birleşik Devletleri'ne ait jetlerin Suriye'nin güneyinde Ürdün sınırına yakın noktalarda insansız hava araçlarını düşürmeye başladığı bilgisi de aynı dakikalarda yansıdı. Dolayısıyla onlar ABD jetleri tarafından düşürülmüş ve Ürdün sınırı içerisine Amman'a düşmüş askeri hava araçları olabilir, füzeler olabilir.
Yönleri değiştiriliyor.
Yönleri değiştiriliyor.
Evet.
Yönleri değiştiriliyor dedi Sait Hocam. Begüm Dönmez'e döneyim hızlıca. Ekranda bu görüntüler varken az önce saydım bir kez daha tekrara düşmem gerekecek ama Biden'a ilişkin teyide muhtaç birçok bilgi geldi Begüm Dönmez. Doğrusu nedir? Ulusa sesleniş yapacak mı? Hangi mesajı verecek? Mesele ABD'den, Washington'dan, Beyaz Saray'dan nasıl görülüyor? Bu kurmay toplantısından radikal bir sonuç mu? Yoksa sakinlik çağrısı mı gelecek? Ne olacak, ne bitecek? Beklentiler, özetle gerçekler neler?
ABD Başkanı Joe Biden'ın Oval Ofis'ten bir konuşma yapıp yapmayacağı sorusuyla başlayalım.
Buyurun.
Erken dönmesinin ardından Delaware'dan hafta sonu için gitmişti Delaware'a Biden ve yarın akşam normalde dönmesi bekleniyordu ama gelişmeler üzerine bir gün erken döndü. Dolayısıyla acaba Oval Ofis'ten bir açıklama mı gelecek, bir konuşma mı gelecek beklentisi arttı. Yaklaşık 2 saat önce Beyaz Saray'a geldi başkan ama Beyaz Saray'dan yapılan açıklamada akşamın bundan sonraki kısmında basına açık herhangi bir etkinlik, herhangi bir durum olmayacağı ifade edildi. Dolayısıyla bu akşam için en azından önümüzdeki saatler ya da dakikalarda bir durum değişikliği olmazsa Başkan Biden'dan Oval Ofis'ten bir açıklama beklenmiyor. Yaklaşık 1-1,5 saat kadar önce Beyaz Saray'da Başkan Biden ulusal güvenlik ekibiyle bir araya geldi. Savunma Bakanı Austin, Dışişleri Bakanı Blinken, Genelkurmay Başkanı Charles Brown, CIA Başkanı William Burns ki kendisinin birkaç gün öncesinde bölgede olduğunu biliyoruz. Ulusal Güvenlik Danışmanı Jake Sullivan hepsiyle bir araya geldi. Şimdi biraz önce yine programımızda konuşulmuştu yayında. Amerika'nın Orta Doğu'daki hava savunma sistemleri tarafından İran'a ait İsrail'e yönelen bazı insansız hava araçlarının etkisiz hale getirildiğine ilişkin haberler. 2 Amerikalı yetkili ABD basınına yaptığı açıklamalarda bunu doğruladılar. Tam olarak nasıl yapıldığını bunun bilmemekle birlikte ya da hangi bölgede olduğunu bilmemekle birlikte şu kadarını biliyoruz. Amerika'nın Orta Doğu'da Irak ve Suriye içerisinde potansiyel olarak İsrail'e yönelen İran'a ait insansız hava araçlarını imha etme, etkisiz hale getirme kapasitesi var ki bunu daha önce hatırlanacağı üzere ABD donanmasına ait güçler Kızıldeniz'de Husilerin uzun menzilli füzelerini etkisiz hale getirmişti. Yemen'den İsrail'e ateşledikleri ve bölgede zaten Amerika'nın çok sayıda askeri olduğunu biliyoruz. Bir kere USS Dwight Eisenhower grubu orada, uçak gemisi orada. Dolayısıyla kapasitesi mevcut. Belki önümüzdeki saatlerde veya yarın Pentagon'dan da resmi bir açıklama gelebilir bu konuyla ilgili. Ama şu aşamada en azından Amerikalı yetkililerin söylediklerine bakacak olursak evet İran'a ait insansız hava aracının etkisiz hale getirildiğini söylemek mümkün. Peki bundan sonrasında acaba bu iş büyür mü? Aslında hep şimdiye kadar Amerika'nın bölgedeki temasları artı son birkaç gündür diplomatik temaslarla da şu haliyle bile aslına bakarsanız kaçınmak istediği bir senaryo olduğunu söylemek mümkün. İran basınında balistik füzelerin kullanıldığına ilişkin bazı haberler yer almıştı. Başka kaynaklardan bir doğrulama henüz geldi mi bilemiyorum ama eğer bu doğruysa bu da önemli bir gelişme. Şunu hatırlatalım, aslında İran'dan İsrail'e bu beklenen misilleme gelmeden önce uluslararası basına şöyle bir bilgi yansımıştı. Tahran'ın Washington'a İsrail'e vereceği cevabı bölgede savaşın daha geniş bir coğrafyaya yayılmasından kaçınılacak şekilde bir karşılık vereceği sinyalini verdiği ifade edilmişti. Dolayısıyla eğer şu haliyle gördüğümüz şekliyle eğer devam ederse böyle oluyor gibi bir izlenim söz konusu. Ama tabii şunu söyleyelim, Irak ve Suriye içerisindeki İran bağlantılı gruplar, Hamas, Lübnan'daki Hizbullah, bu gruplar kendilerini hatırlanacağı üzere bir direniş ekseni olarak tanımlıyorlar. Hem İsrail'e
Begüm
hem
Dönmez,
de...
özür dilerim araya giriyorum. Bir görüntüye daha ulaştı arkadaşlarımız. Görüntüler dakikalar önce İsrail'in güneyi üzerinde yapılan engellemeleri gösteriyor. Bir duyalım sesini de. Bu görüntülerden şu çıkarımı da yapabiliriz. Sait Hocam az önce yönleri değiştirilen, tamamen havada imha edilmese de yönleri değiştirilen hava araçları, SİHA'lar olduğunu söylemişti. Müdahale, savunma sistemleri ekseninde. Tabii yönleri ne oranda değiştirilebiliyor? Bir nokta atış anlaşılan bu yönlendirmeler sonucunda yapılıyor. Bu da Sait Hocam sızmaları beraberinde getirecek değil mi? Yani tabii 100 tane fırlattıysa 98'i engellenip ikisinin isabet ettiğine tanık olmak sürpriz değil anladığım kadarıyla.
Yani Irak Savaşı'nda hatırlarsanız Urfa'ya falan füzeler düşmüştü yani. O mavuklar düşmüştü. Yani Bunlar
Bu
mümkün.
beklendik.
Uçaklar pals atıyor, işte o füzeyi etkiliyor, yönünü değiştiriyor. Her şey mümkün. İki taraf tabii birbirinden öğreniyor ve birbirine göre tedbir alıyor. Ama burada görülen konu ne? İran evet sen füzeyi atıyorsun ama hedefine varmıyor. İsrail de bunu durdurabiliyor. Bunu büyük ölçüde. Bunu test etmiş oldular.
Ahmet Yavuz'un bir eklemesi olur mu? Bu görüntüler elimize ulaştı az önce.
Yani belki hedefe kadar gidenler de olmuş olabilir. Ayrıca Irak, düzeltiyorum, Ürdün hava sahasından geçmesi muhtemel olanlar da o bölgedeki Amerikan uçakları tarafından engellenmiş olabilir. Belki şu da olasılık dahilinde elektronik başlıklar önleme suretiyle, karıştırma suretiyle farklı bölgelere yönlendirilebilir ve oralara da düşmüş olabilir. Yani bütün bunların hepsini bilgiye dayalı olarak analiz etmek lazım. Ama mesela buradaki olay sanki karaya ulaşan bir iki tane de var gibi.
Evet, birazdan yeni görüntüler gelecek. Özellikle o görüntülerde de
tahribat yapsa onu da bilmek lazım.
And earlier I was telling you that US officials were of the view that the targets for these drones, now this is what they're saying, we will find out in due course, but US officials, their expectation is that the targets are not civilian sites, they're not religious sites, but they are government sites, government buildings. And government buildings in Israel will be the buildings most secure and most protected by aerial defences. So it may transpire, and we don't know clearly until we see it, it may transpire that these drones are effectively taken out of the sky by effective defences. We wake up tomorrow and, you know, there are limited casualties, there is limited fallout from this attack, in which case maybe the temperature is reduced, and maybe we have a scenario like the engagement with the Houthi Iranian proxies that we've had over the past few months. You'll remember at the time when America was responding to Houthi attacks, there was talk of crisis then, talk of serious escalation. Nobody talks so much about that anymore. Yes, there has been continuing engagement with the Houthis, but it's continued at a low level. There has been military engagement, but it hasn't been a serious escalation, hasn't taken attention away from the Israel-Hamas conflict, the military imperative, the politics, the necessity and the job of Joe Biden and others to sort that out, free hostages and secure a ceasefire and so on. That would be the scenario, I imagine, best case for the Americans as they watch unfolding events. And I think, as I was saying, they've seen this attack coming. The fact they didn't get stuck in before these drones and these missiles were fired would indicate to me that they have been in defensive mode throughout. And I imagine that's where they are right now. Whether that flips will depend on what happens overnight and the pictures that we see tomorrow. But again, as you said, Israel is talking about significant reaction. There will be a reaction. The question is, how significant is the reaction itself, and how significant is that for escalation and for the region?
And as you say, James, we're going to have a clearer idea of that tomorrow morning as to what the impact of this drone attack has been. James Matthews, our US correspondent, with the latest there from Washington. James, for the moment, thank you. Let's go back to the Middle East, because the Israeli Defense Force has issued a warning to some residents to take shelter. Now, specifically, warning residents of the northern Golan Heights and the areas of Nevatim, Dimona, and Eilat. People living in those locations have been advised to stay near protective spaces until further notice. Well, let's bring you the comments that Israel's army spokesman, Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari, made a little earlier as he warned the people of Israel that Iran had launched drones and missiles targeting their country.
alarm is operated where you're at, you must go into the sheltered area and remain there for 10 minutes at least, no less than that. We will update you if it is necessary to stay there longer. I would like to call upon you to refrain from spreading any unconfirmed rumors. Please stick only to the official instructions of the IDF spokesperson's unit and the Homefront Command. I will come on air to update if anything changes. Please remain calm and collected as you've been so far, and remember to follow the instructions. The IDF is well prepared. All of its elements, both on the defensive and on the offensive, are prepared. We have prepared for diverse scenarios in advance. We operate in close collaboration with the U.S. and our other partners in the region in order to intercept these launches. We have the circles of protection from both the Navy and the Air Force on several layers, and we have additional circles of protection from the U.S. military. We have an excellent air defense system, and it is now in full operation. But you must remember, it's never 100% the defensive measures. So therefore, it's always very important to follow the instructions of the Homefront Command. These save lives. Questions. Channel 12 News, the UAVs have been launched. When will we hear the sirens? As I've told you, I inform you about the fact that these UAVs have been launched. It will take them several hours to reach Israel. We are going to try to prevent them from reaching Israeli territory. That is our task. If they do enter Israeli airspace, then you will hear sirens and alarms wherever these threats enter, and we will intercept them in these areas. If there is a different kind of threat on a different timetable, we will inform you immediately on all platforms, and I will also come on TV to update you. Another question, why is the Prime Minister's aircraft in the air? We have operational reasons and considerations, and it's true for our airspace, it's true for any disruptions, and it's also true regarding the various aircrafts, including the Knaf Zion. Channel 14 News, are you considering any preventive measures against Iran or Hezbollah in view of these threats? I'm not going to detail here our preparations and our scenarios. We will do whatever is necessary in order to defend Israeli citizens wherever it is necessary. I'd like to repeat once again, I will come again if there is a need to update you.
Well, the Defense Secretary, Grant Shapps, has just tweeted. Now, he says additional Royal Air Force jets and air refueling tankers have been deployed to the Middle East to bolster Operation Shader, the UK's existing counter-Daesh, or ISIL, operation in Iraq and Syria. In addition, the jets will intercept airborne attacks within range of our existing missions. And then Grant Shapps goes on to say, my statement, I strongly condemn the senseless airborne attack that Iran has launched on Israel. It serves no benefit other than to further undermine regional security. We continue to work with Israel and partners in the region to prevent further escalation. Peace and stability are in everyone's interest, and I urge Iran to immediately end all forms of destabilizing behavior. In response to escalation in the region and in partnership with our allies, the Prime Minister and I have authorized the deployment of additional Royal Air Force assets. The RAF jets and air refueling tankers will bolster our existing Operation Shader, which is the UK's existing counter-Daesh operation in Iraq and Syria. In addition, these jets will intercept any airborne attacks within range of our existing missions as required. So that was a statement from Grant Shapps. Earlier, we also heard from the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak. As a statement, he condemned Iran's actions. This is what his statement said. I condemn in the strongest terms the Iranian regime's reckless attack against Israel. These strikes risk inflaming tensions and destabilizing the region. Iran has once again demonstrated that it is intent on sowing chaos in its own backyard. The UK will continue to stand up for Israel's security and that of all of our regional partners, including Jordan and Iraq. Alongside our allies, we are urgently working to stabilize the situation and prevent further escalation. No one wants to see more bloodshed. Well, our political correspondent, Tamara Cohen, has this up some from all the reaction from Westminster.
Well, Rishi Sunak was the first European leader to respond and has offered staunch support for Israel in his statement. He said tonight, "I condemn in the strongest terms the Iranian regime's reckless attack against Israel. These strikes risk inflaming tensions and destabilizing the region." He said Iran has once again demonstrated that it is intent on sowing chaos in its own backyard. The UK will continue to stand up for Israel's security and that of our regional partners, including Jordan and Iraq. Alongside our allies, we are urgently working to stabilise the situation and prevent further escalation. No one wants to see more bloodshed. What does Rishi Sunak mean by working with our allies to stabilise the situation? Well, the government have not yet commented on reports that we're getting from the region that UK fighter jets, we have air bases, of course, in Cyprus, might be involved in trying to intercept some of these attacks coming from Iran. We have not had any confirmation of that yet. We may well get it in the coming hours, but there are reports from the region that UK jets may be involved. We've also had a statement from the opposition leader, Keir Starmer, which very much reflects similar sentiment to Rishi Sunak. He said that the international community has been urging restraint, and yet again he said Iran has chosen a dangerous path. We continue to stand up for Israel's security, he says, and that the Labour Party supports all measures designed to restore calm. We won't really know what those are until we see the full scale of this and understand what exactly the UK and others' involvement might be. Certainly there's been deep concern about this in government. We know that Lord Cameron, the Foreign Secretary, spoke to the Iranian Foreign Minister just 2 days ago, urging Iran not to escalate into what he called a wider war. Clearly those warnings have gone unheeded, and the UK will be urgently talking to allies in the next few hours about what this escalation might mean, and of course what role Western countries can play, most probably in supporting the US in the next steps. But staunch support for Israel from Rishi Sunak, and wanting to help Britain's allies in the region to take all the steps that they can to restore calm.
And you can see live shots there of both southern Israel and Tel Aviv. No visible drones there now, unlike what we saw over the skies of Jerusalem about an hour ago. Let me just bring you reaction from President Biden. Now, he tweeted, first of all, these are the pictures that you're seeing there of a meeting that Joe Biden was having with his national security advisors in the Situation Room at the White House. Joe Biden returned to Washington earlier on Saturday afternoon. He had been away in Delaware, obviously, to talk about the escalating situation in the Middle East. President Biden tweeted just recently, this is what he said. He said, "I just met with my national security team for an update on Iran's attacks against Israel. Our commitment to Israel's security against threats from Iran and its proxies is ironclad." So that statement from President Biden, not a lot of detail there, and really reiterating this word that's been used before about the U.S. support for Israel, and the word he used is ironclad. Now, a little earlier, I spoke to the U.S. national security and foreign policy analyst, Ari Aramesh.
The Iranian government is now reacting and retaliating against the Israelis killing their key operative and their key sort of planning, the most important general in the Quds forces. The Quds forces is the external operation branch of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. That's the Iranian, sort of the second Iranian military that is more ideological. It has some elite units. And if the IRGC has an air force, has a ground force, and has a navy, it also has a Quds force. That's its external operation. The deputy commander, General Zahedi, Brigadier General Zahedi, who was killed at the Iranian consulate a few days ago in Damascus, is a highly valuable military and also sort of tactical and strategic figure for the Iranian leadership. I would say this is probably the most important loss for Iran for Iranian regime since the killing of Major General Qasem Soleimani, the former head of the IRGC, who was killed by the U.S. on January 3rd, 2020. It's a huge blow. So now they're retaliating. President Biden told the Iranians not to do it. The U.S. stands firmly behind Israel. The question is, A, how much damage these attacks are going to cause? Second, well, let me back up. The most important question is this it? Is this the only wave of attacks? These suicide drones and some missiles that Iran so far has launched, is there going to be another wave? Is Iran going to use its proxies? Hezbollah to Israel's north has hundreds of thousands of rockets and tens of thousands of missiles. And so if they start launching theirs, let's say in coordination with other proxies in the region, if the Hamas has been pretty much decapitated in Gaza, so they are really not in a position to do much from southern Israel. But so the first question is that it? Is there going to be another wave either from Iran or Iran's proxies? Second question is, where are these drones and missiles going? We don't exactly know where they're going to land. Iran has said they have these predetermined locations, but I don't have a lot of faith in the accuracy. Even if they did, have certain places in mind, I don't have a lot of faith in the accuracy of their delivery technology. And third is really a reaction. How is Israel going to react? This is the first time since the Yom Kippur War of 1973, with one little exception. That's Saddam launching missiles in January of 1991. But this is the first time a state has actually attacked Israel without any U.S. involvement, without any secondary or other war. In 1991, there was the Gulf War, and Saddam launched missiles. But this is the first time since 1973, and we have to see how Israel reacts.
Mr. Aramesh, before this happened, well, actually, just before the attack on the Iranian consulate in Damascus, there were huge tensions between the two allies, Israel and the United States, and obviously that came from what many in the U.S. saw as an excessive level of civilian death in Gaza. Then, of course, there was the killing of the aid workers, one of them an American. Ultimately, how much sway do you think the United States will have in the coming hours and days over Israel in their response to this Iranian attack?
Let's not forget, when Israel is under attack, the United States closes ranks and fully supports Israel. As in the words of President Biden and National Security Advisor, and for a second I am now forgetting his name, the U.S. support for Israel is ironclad. So Jake Sullivan, I'm sorry, that's right in front of you, and you miss his name, Jake Sullivan. So the U.S. support for Israel is ironclad. What does that mean, ironclad? Ironclad means when Israel's security and its existence and its safety comes under question and is jeopardized, the United States, as Israel's most important, largest, most powerful, and only guarantor, puts aside its grievances, puts aside its differences, and supports Israel. That's U.S. policy, Democratic or Republican administrations. Yes,
Netanyahu... That's obviously official U.S. policy, but behind the scenes, considering that for the past few months, really, since the start of the war between Israel and Hamas, we haven't really seen Israel listen to the United States. I wonder whether you think that whatever it is that the U.S. will now say to Israel behind closed doors, whether you think Israel will actually listen.
I think the advice from the Biden administration would be for Israel to show restraint. Now, Israel has a right to defend itself, but the Biden administration's policy generally is try to de-escalate. Any escalatory sort of approach or action that would cause a reaction is something that this administration does not favor. Having said that, you have to create a balance between de-escalation and deterrence. Sometimes when you try to de-escalate too much, for instance, for months, we tried to de-escalate with the Iranians in Iraq and Syria. They escalated until they killed 3 Army National Guard troops in Jordan when they sent those suicide drones. And then the U.S. retaliated, paused that situation. How much sway does the U.S. have over the Netanyahu administration? More than any other country. Let's put it this way. I'm not going to quantify and give you a number, but more than any other country. The U.S. is obviously Israel's larger supporter and provider of weapons, technology, intelligence. And again, in times of crises, the two countries get a lot closer to each other. Remember, after October 7th, President Biden, Secretary of State Blinken, Secretary of Lloyd Austin, they all flew there. President Biden went to the war zone, went to Tel Aviv, went to Jerusalem, met with high cabinet leaders. But again, I understand that people expect the U.S. to dictate terms to Israel. The U.S. doesn't dictate terms to South Korea or Japan or Germany or other allies for that matter. So why would anyone expect us to dictate terms to Israel? Yes, we have some leverage, we have some influence like two allies do, but you shouldn't expect the United States to dictate how Israel should run its war. But again, they are allies, and at the end of the day, you got to back up your ally when it comes under direct assault and threat by a rogue regime.
Mr. Aramesh, speaking of allies, let's bring in a statement that we've just had on Twitter from the Foreign Secretary, the British Foreign Secretary, David Cameron, saying Iran's reckless attacks on Israel will only further inflame tensions in the Middle East. The UK calls on the Iranian regime to stop this serious escalation, which is in no one's interest. So that comment coming in from David Cameron, echoing similar words that we heard from the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak. Mr. Aramesh, very briefly, if you're still there, I mean, how worried do you think ultimately the United States will be about the developments that we're seeing in the Middle East? I mean, you say it's not for them to dictate rules to Israel on how to handle their affairs, but if it does lead to a regional war, obviously the U.S. is implicated.
Yeah, this is going to have ramifications for all of us. We have major bases in the Middle East, in Qatar, and Bahrain, troops all over the region, from Jordan and Kuwait all the way to Egypt and Saudi and Kuwait and UAE. You name it. There isn't a country that U.S. doesn't support and help with its security. And U.S. troops are. You have special operations forces in Syria and Iraq. You have conventional forces in other places. And then if if this war escalates and gets out of control, let's say it becomes a real hot conventional war, the two sides launching missiles, and the Iranians don't have much of an air force. They have sort of their main defense is their missiles and their proxies, their missile system, their proxies. But if the Israelis start launching a major campaign, the U.S. is going to get involved, and I think the de-escalation is no longer going to work. So I hope cooler heads would prevail.
Ari Aramesh speaking to me a little bit earlier. Okay, you can see the live shots there of southern Israel and Tel Aviv. Let's also bring you some breaking news, a statement that we're getting from the Iranian Foreign Ministry. Let me read it to you. It says, Tehran will not hesitate to take further defensive measures to safeguard its legitimate interests against any military aggression. So this coming in from the Iranian Foreign Ministry, a statement saying Tehran will not hesitate to take further defensive measures to safeguard its legitimate interests against any military aggressions. Well, I'm joined now by Harley Littman from the American-Israel Public Affairs Committee in New York to discuss the developments further. First of all, sir, your reaction, please, to the statement by the Iranian Foreign Ministry that I just read out, but just in general to the events of the past few hours.
Well, what's quite remarkable is that there's always been a red line between Iran and Israel, that neither country directly attacks each other. That red line is gone, which means Iran could just attack Israel another time, even if they're stopping now, because it appears that this is the extent of their actions against Israel, that they're not going to do any more. That's the indications I'm hearing from the Iranian government. Iran does not want a war. What they want to do is punish Israel. Now, from Israel's perspective, this opens up an opportunity, because since Israel was attacked and now there are no more red lines, Israel could attack Iran. And they may be surprised by the Iranian attack, and they may not launch a major attack against Iran, but Israel has a lot of options that they're debating. One is to do something immediately to show deterrence. Some predict they'll hit back as much as 10 times as hard. Or, and they may not do it right away, the window of opportunity to attack Iran's nuclear facilities is now open. And I suspect that this is something that's going to be discussed in Israel. And if I were living in an Iranian nuclear facility, I'd be wearing a hard helmet right now.
Sir, we obviously don't know the scope of the damage of this drone attack so far. We don't know if any have got through, what the damage is, crucially, if there's been any loss of life, and realistically, we're not going to get a clearer picture for a couple of hours. Do you think that that changes the equation, or do you think the mere symbolism that Iran attacked Israel the way that it has is enough for Israel to have to respond in a very strong manner?
I think Israel has to respond in a strong manner, and they will. What everybody has to realize is that Iran has been attacking Israel for years and has declared war on Israel privately, covertly. What makes this noteworthy is only that it's now in the open. Who is supplying the weapons to Hezbollah when Hezbollah fires rockets into Israel? It's Iran supplying the weapons, and it's Iran that's managing Hezbollah's decisions. The same thing with the Hamas attack. While it was implemented by Hamas on October 7th, it was orchestrated by Iran. So Iran is behind all. If you look at any of the violence, the firing of missiles from the Houthi to any conflict that you see in the Middle East, it's coming from Iran, and they're flooding the West Bank with weapons. So this is a huge, major escalation. And I think that the good news is the United States and England have stepped up and have shot down many of the drones.
Yeah.
But if the drones hit a major facility, I think all hell will break loose. I don't know how directionally precise these drones are going to be. The fact that they fired drones is quite interesting because they're slow-moving and they're easier to shoot down, which could suggest that they're being limited as much as in their ambitions, as much as they attacked Israel.
Sir, forgive me for interrupting you, but let me just bring something that we heard from the Iranian mission at the UN about an hour ago, saying, Iran, this is their statement, Iran's military action was in response to the Zionist regime, that's what they call Israel, the Zionist regime's aggression against our diplomatic premises in Damascus. The matter can be deemed concluded. So this is a statement from the Iranian mission at the UN, because you brought in, obviously the attack of October 7th and the West Bank. They have different dynamics. This is specifically a confrontation between Iran and Israel. When you see that statement and the Iranian mission at the UN saying that potentially this is their response to the attack at the consulate and it can be deemed concluded, do you see in that the hope that actually things could be allowed to settle down a little?
Well, that's exactly what I was saying, that they don't want an all-out war. The fact that they said it's concluded, and that's what I was referring to earlier when I said the information I'm getting from Iran is that this is only one attack and then they're going to stop.
If they don't want an all-out war, then what does Israel want? Does Israel want an all-out war with Iran?
I don't think Israel wants an all-out war, but Israel cannot let this be unanswered. If Israel doesn't respond, it will make Israel appear very weak in that region. It will embolden Iran, and they're likely to do it again. It's not likely they're going to stop. They will do it again. And in that part of the world, unfortunately, you need to show strength if you want to have peace. If Israel, I know that instinctively we want to say, let's calm things down. But as I said earlier, Iran has been attacking Israel for years. They're the ones responsible in giving the weapons and the directions for all these attacks. So even though they fired at Israel, they only want to calm things down for the moment. But they've unleashed a new development by attacking Israel. And Israel has no choice. And I think it's, as I said, it's a window of opportunity, because the only way you're ever going to have peace in that region is if you have regime change. Because this is an apocalyptic regime with a messianic view of the world. They want carnage. They want death. This is how they all go to heaven. So I'm not even sure they're rational actors there. And by the way, by attacking Israel, they now brought Israel and the United States close together. where Israel and the United States was having a lot of friction and a lot of disagreements that were getting very, very challenging. In one swoop, they just bonded Israel and the United States in a way that wouldn't have happened without this. So the unintended consequence of this is that Israel and the United States is very aligned. And with that in place, while the United States may counsel restraint to Israel, which they probably will, Israel, I am sure that Israel will respond. And they're debating now, I think, how severe and how forceful, but they will do it. And I think in that part of the world, they have to do that to maintain that deterrence, or they'll be attacked again, even more so.
So you mentioned regime change in Iran. There's a lot of people that would like to see leadership change in Israel itself. Benjamin Netanyahu, very unpopular for a variety of reasons, not being able to prevent October 7th and the issue of the hostages. These are enormous decisions that the Israeli war cabinet is about to make that would have an impact beyond the country and the wider region. So do you think that Benjamin Netanyahu is the right person to be at the helm of this?
You know, it's not for me or you to decide. They are a democracy. The same way England's a democracy. It's up to the citizens of Israel to do that.
Thousands of people have been turning out, in fairness, against Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel because it is a democracy and they have the right to do so.
Well, whether he is the right person or not, he's the prime minister. So it's in his hands. And actually, they're playing into his hands by attacking Israel. Now, if a nation is attacked, they have a right to defend themselves. To ask Israel to stand down and not do anything because Iran stopped. I mean, that's like people coming up, shooting up your house, and then saying, oh, we don't want to do anything anymore, but you can't respond to that. I mean, who would just do nothing in response? I know we all crave peace, but the truth is, you're comparing apples and oranges. Israel has no grievance with Iran. It's Iran that has a grievance with Israel that has stated many times they want to destroy Israel. And people need to address that directly. I think we're all in denial. And Europe in particular, I think, has an appeasement mentality. They're kind of like, peace at all costs, don't fight back, don't do anything, no violence. And that's fine if the other side would agree to that. But you have a regime that is bent on colonial, imperialistic control of the Middle East. They're in Syria, Iraq. Do you think the Syrians and Iraqis want them there? You know, they have control of Yemen. Iran is the ones that are creating the violence and the deaths. Israel just wants to exist. And whether you like Bibi Netanyahu or not, you can't scapegoat this on him. This has nothing to do with him. This is about Iran trying to destroy another nation.
Harley Littman, we're going to have to leave it there, from the American Israel Public Affairs Committee in New York. Sir, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And now let's go to our military analyst, Sean Bell, who I spoke to a little bit earlier.
One of the things to remember about the drones, whilst they are a bit more of a terror weapon, you know, most of them are relatively easy to shoot down. You know, the Shahed 136, which the Iranian drones they've been providing to Russia, they only fly around about 140 miles an hour, and they are not that difficult to shoot down. The value of them, though, is that they create a sort of a volume, a quantity of weapons flying through the air, and therefore that provides cover for the cruise missiles, ballistic missiles that are also incoming. Now, the air defenses that Israel has and that the US helped provide should mitigate some of that, but inevitably these ballistic missiles are particularly difficult to get through. And I think, as some of the correspondents have been talking about, some of the key here will be just how much damage has been done. You know, Iran, there's a lot of questions here. Iran's been put on the horns of a dilemma, because after Israel attacked that consulate building on the 1st of April, killing 13 people, including a senior military commander, Iran was almost duty-bound to do some sort of reaction. Israel would have known that. The fact is, waited some time for doing it, and as generally experience shows, it's quite measured. It will be interesting to see what they've targeted, how many telephone warnings coming in. We're already hearing some of that there's been some coordination between America and Iran. And if there has been coordination, Iran will be trying to make a point, but we'll be very clearly not wanting to escalate. And I think one of the things that most military analysts see here is that Iran has got a fledgling nuclear program. It will not want to have that program attacked. It will not want to provide an excuse to the Israelis or the Americans for attacking those programs, because ultimately, and it's not if, it's when Iran gets nuclear weapons, they would be the ultimate deterrent against both Israel and the US. So I think there's clearly a lot going on behind the scenes here. The key will be as to how many of these missiles get through, what they're actually targeting, whether there were warnings being advised first, and then how much America tries to mitigate and measure Israel's natural instinct to respond.
Obviously, tensions between Israel and Iran go back decades, but we have seen, everything get more intense, more fragile since the latest escalation in the conflict between Hamas and Israel in Gaza. Militarily speaking, what is Israel's situation right now, in the sense that it's still involved in a military operation in Gaza, but now is having quite serious attacks coming in from other parts of the border?
Yeah, it's interesting trying to look at the sequence of this. From a military perspective, Israel had its foot on the throat of Hamas outside Rafah, and you would generally not let up. Netanyahu's been clear he wants to deal with the 4 last battalions of Hamas fighters left in Rafah, and yet he's moved his battalions out, and left simply 1 IDF battalion left behind. And there's lots of questions why that was happening. Was it a break? Was it a breather? But there are big bodies of the Israel government who actually want to deal with Hamas, but they also want to deal with Hezbollah. And of course, the dark shadow of Iran, as many of your viewers will know, has been around. They provide weapons, training, support to not only Hamas, Hezbollah, and also the Houthis, who've been causing carnage in the Red Sea as well. And that must all be incredibly frustrating for Israel. The challenge, of course, is what do you do about it? And I think one of the things that the security guys were particularly concerned about was if Israel did respond to having a go at Hezbollah in the north. The last time that happened, Lebanon suffered tremendously, and there was a sort of stalemate at the end of it. Lots of people died, lots of carnage. It looks likely that despite the fact Israel is the dominant military power in the region, it still would be probably folly to allow this to escalate. And I think that's why we're seeing the US trying to bring its influence to bear to try and moderate. It is the ultimate security guarantor for Israel, but it's not in US's interest to see this conflict escalate either. So it'll be interesting to see over the coming hours just how much grand statesmanship is involved to try to mitigate this whole rather very dangerous situation.
You're watching Sky News. The breaking news this morning: Iran has launched more than 100 drones as well as missiles to attack Israel. President Biden has cut short his weekend trip to Delaware and returned to Washington to meet with his national security team. And the U.S. Embassy in Israel has directed all U.S. employees to shelter in place until further notice. Well, here, the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, has condemned the move in the strongest terms, describing it as a reckless attack against Israel. And our correspondent is in Jerusalem and has seen multiple interceptions over the city as those air raid sirens sounded. Well, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is at the Kiryat, the military headquarters in Tel Aviv, with the country's war cabinet. Israeli jets have been seen patrolling the skies over Jerusalem, and Sky sources can confirm that RAF jets have been involved in the defense of Israel. And in just the last few moments, we've had a statement from the Iranian Foreign Ministry, who say Tehran will not hesitate to take further defensive measures to safeguard its legitimate interests against any military aggressions. Well, let's bring in our international correspondent, Alex Rossi, now, who's in Jerusalem. And Alex, over the last hour or so, you've been hearing sirens and seeing some explosions as those anti-air defense systems kick in against those drone attacks. Do tell us what you've been seeing and what the latest on the situation there is.
Well, good evening. It's 3 o'clock in the morning here in Jerusalem. And about an hour and a half ago, we started to hear jets coming across the skies, and the Israeli military were predicting at about 2 o'clock the drones, this phalanx of drones that had been launched from Iran towards Israel, would start to come into Israeli airspace. And we saw interceptions, flashes of light arcing above us as we assume those drones were taken out of the sky. Missiles have also been launched as well. Now, that was accompanied by the sound of sirens wailing across the city of Jerusalem. This was something that was replicated across Israel as well. Now, we're hearing from the Iranian UN mission that their military action, they say, has now been concluded. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is at the Kiryat, the Israeli defense headquarters. He's holding a war cabinet. Israeli officials are saying that there will be a serious response to this unprecedented attack from the Iranians. So this may not be the end of it. It may be that we see some sort of response from the Israelis, which kind of triggers a chain reaction, a cycle of escalation. But again, they may show restraint. We don't know at this point what exactly their response will be. But this is an enormously dangerous moment for the Middle East. Now, people across Israel have been warned to stay very close to shelters. Many people, of course, will have gone into those shelters tonight, hearing the sirens in their towns and cities. Educational activities have also been cancelled for school children in the days ahead, because the fear is there may be another attack from the Iranians, even though they say it has concluded. The retaliation from the Iranians is, of course, from an airstrike attributed to Israel happening on April the 1st, which hit a consulate in Damascus, killing a number of senior generals from the Iranian Revolutionary Guards. Iran has been vowing a response to that, and tonight we saw that response. Now, Israel has been on tenterhooks really for the last 48 hours. There have been warnings from the United States security agencies that an attack was imminent, and tonight we saw the shape and form of that attack.
Yeah, Alex, and so far, certainly it does seem as those air defences have kicked in and they have worked. No reports of any casualties so far, but the language between Iran and Israel remains heightened. No signs of a de-escalation so far between the two.
No, there's no direct communication between the Iranians and the Israelis. It's all done through back channels. I mean, look, there is a best scenario where this attack happened. Iran can show to its domestic audience, project across the region that it responded to what it sees as a really grave attack, the attack on the consulate. And this may be the end of it. But what we're hearing from the Israeli officials, it doesn't sound like that. It says that there will be a serious response. This, remember, is an unprecedented attack on Israeli soil, and they may very well feel, for reasons of their own deterrence, that they need to react for it. It will be very interesting to see what the United States, or to hear what the United States is saying privately to Israeli officials, because of course they don't want this to erupt into a major regional confrontation. And that's the real danger here, that this spins into a regional war and drags in multiple countries. We're hearing from the Egyptians. They are calling for restraint on all sides, but this is a very destabilizing moment in the Middle East, coming at a time, of course, after the October the 7th attacks. There's a war raging in Gaza. Israel is vowing to destroy Hamas, rescue its hostages. It hasn't finished doing that. That's still going on. Again, that's extremely volatile. And then on the northern border with Israel, Hezbollah, a paramilitary organization from Lebanon, there are daily exchanges of fire there. That in itself is enough to ignite, under ordinary circumstances, to ignite a regional war. And there's no sign of any end to that either. Tonight, we know that Hezbollah fired a barrage of missiles again into Israel. Again, that is inflaming the general situation. Make no mistake, this is an extraordinarily dangerous moment.
Yeah, and Israel's allies have been at the forefront tonight in shooting down some of those drones, both the US and the UK saying that they were involved in shooting down some drones before they could make it to Israeli territory. How much of an influence does the Biden administration have over Netanyahu here, and how much can those behind-the-scenes conversations help to de-escalate the situation?
Well, let's start with the planes this evening. We heard warplanes overhead. According to the IDF, tens of fighter jets have been up in the skies. They've been heading outside Israeli airspace. We saw them fly over our heads in the direction of Jordan earlier on this evening. And they have been tasked with defending the nation, trying to take these drones out before they reached Israeli soil. Now, according to the IDF, they have been coordinating their response with US Central Command, as have the British. British fighter jets have also been up in the air, and they have taken out some of the drones, as have US fighter jets. The level of leverage or influence that the Americans will have on the Israelis, it's really hard to say. Certainly, the relationship between the two countries has been frayed as a result of the very high civilian casualties in Gaza. The Americans have urged the Israelis, particularly President Biden, to show restraint. He has gone on the record and said a number of times that he doesn't think the war is being conducted in a proper way because of the mounting civilian casualties. He's also warned them of going into Rafah in the southern part of the Strip, which is one of the last refuges of where Hamas are holed up. So, you know, the relationship is a very difficult one. One thing to say, because the Americans and also the British have come to the defense of Israel tonight, that might have some bearing on what they do in terms of their response. That may give them some leverage. But again, I take you back to what I was saying earlier. This is, you know, it's an unprecedented attack on Israel, and, you know, the chance of miscalculation, the chance of further escalation are really great.
All right, for now, our international correspondent there, Alex Rossi in Jerusalem for us. Thank you. Just going to bring you some breaking news coming into us from the United Nations. The Secretary General there, Antonio Guterres, releasing a statement in the last few moments saying that he condemns serious escalation.
Israel's Iron Dome system was designed to shoot down rockets and shells heading towards populated areas or sensitive targets. Jointly built by the US and Israel, it uses artificial intelligence to find and track the projectiles. Then the system launches its own interceptor that strikes the incoming rocket.
i.e. an escalation of conflict in the Middle East.
All right, James, as you mentioned, the Israeli media saying that Benjamin Netanyahu and Joe Biden are due to talk in the next few minutes. We'll keep a close eye on any further developments from there. For now, thank you, James Matthews there in Washington. Well, let's bring you now the comments from Israel's army spokesman, Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari, as he warned the people of Israel that Iran had launched drones and missiles targeting their country.
Alarm is operated where you're at. You must go into the sheltered area and remain there for 10 minutes at least, no less than that. We will update you if it is necessary to stay there longer. I would like to call upon you to refrain from spreading any unconfirmed rumors. Please stick only to the official instructions of the IDF spokesperson's unit and the Homefront Command. I will come on air to update if anything changes. Please remain calm and collected as you've been so far, and remember to follow the instructions. The IDF is well prepared. All of its elements, both on the defensive and on the offensive, are prepared. We have prepared for diverse scenarios in advance. We operate in close collaboration with the U.S. and our other partners in the region in order to intercept these launches. We have the circles of protection from both the Navy and the Air Force on several layers, and we have additional circles of protection from the U.S. military. We have an excellent air defense system, and it is now in full operation. But you must remember, it's never 100% the defensive measures. So therefore, it's always very important to follow the instructions of the Homefront Command. These save lives. Questions? Channel 12 News, the UAVs have been launched. When will we hear the sirens? As I've told you, I inform you about the fact that these UAVs have been launched. It will take them several hours to reach Israel. We are going to try to prevent them from reaching Israeli territory. That is our task. If they do enter Israeli airspace, then you will hear sirens and alarms wherever these threats enter, and we will intercept them in these areas. If there is a different kind of threat on a different timetable, we will inform you immediately on all platforms, and I will also come on TV to update you. Another question, why is the Prime Minister's aircraft in the air? We have operational reasons and considerations, and it's true for our airspace, it's true for any disruptions, and it's also true regarding the various aircrafts, including the Knafzion. Channel 14 News, are you considering any preventive measures against Iran or Hezbollah in view of these threats? I'm not going to detail here our preparations and our scenarios. We will do whatever is necessary in order to defend Israeli citizens wherever it is necessary. I'd like to repeat once again, I will come again if there is a need to update you.
Daniel Hagari there, an IDF spokesperson speaking earlier. Well, it's been confirmed that RAF jets are assisting Israel to defend itself from drones sent by Iran. A Ministry of Defense spokesman said in response to increased Iranian threats and the growing risk of escalation in the Middle East, the UK government has been working with partners across the region to encourage de-escalation and prevent further attacks. We have moved several additional Royal Air Force jets and air refueling tankers to the region. These will bolster Operation Shader, which is the UK's existing counter-Daesh operation in Iraq and Syria. In addition, these UK jets will intercept any airborne attacks within range of our existing missions as required. We will continue to cooperate closely with our regional partners in the interest of de-escalation. Well, here, the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, has condemned the move in the strongest terms, describing it as a reckless attack against Israel. He said in a statement, "I condemn in the strongest terms the Iranian regime's reckless attack against Israel. These strikes risk inflaming tensions and destabilizing the region. Iran has once again demonstrated that it is intent on sowing chaos in its own backyard." Well, the UK will continue to stand up for Israel's security and that of all of our regional partners, including Jordan and Iraq. Alongside our allies, we are urgently working to stabilize the situation and prevent further escalation. No one wants to see more bloodshed. And the Foreign Secretary, Lord Cameron, has also released a statement. He said Iran's reckless attacks on Israel will only further inflame tensions in the Middle East. The UK calls on the Iranian regime to stop this serious escalation, which is in no one's interest. Well, our political correspondent, Tamara Cohen, has the latest reaction from Westminster.
Well, Rishi Sunak was the first European leader to respond and has offered staunch support for Israel in his statement. He said tonight, "I condemn in the strongest terms the Iranian regime's reckless attack against Israel. These strikes risk inflaming tensions and destabilizing the region." He said Iran has once again demonstrated that it is intent on sowing chaos in its own backyard. The UK will continue to stand up for Israel's security and that of our regional partners, including Jordan and Iraq. Alongside our allies, we are urgently working to stabilise the situation and prevent further escalation. No one wants to see more bloodshed. What does Rishi Sunak mean by working with our allies to stabilise the situation? Well, the government have not yet commented on reports that we're getting from the region that UK fighter jets, we have air bases, of course, in Cyprus, might be involved in trying to intercept some of these attacks coming from Iran. We have not had any confirmation of that yet. We may well get it in the coming hours, but there are reports from the region that UK jets may be involved. We've also had a statement from the opposition leader, Keir Starmer, which very much reflects similar sentiment to Rishi Sunak. He said that the international community has been urging restraint, and yet again he said Iran has chosen a dangerous path. We continue to stand up for Israel's security, he says, and that the Labour Party supports all measures designed to restore calm. We won't really know what those are until we see the full scale of this and understand what exactly the UK and others' involvement might be. Certainly there's been deep concern about this in government. We know that Lord Cameron, the Foreign Secretary, spoke to the Iranian Foreign Minister just 2 days ago, urging Iran not to escalate into what he called a wider war. Clearly those warnings have gone unheeded, and the UK will be urgently talking to allies in the next few hours about what this escalation might mean and, of course, what role Western countries can play, most probably in supporting the US in the next steps. But staunch support for Israel from Rishi Sunak and wanting to help Britain's allies in the region to take all the steps that they can to restore calm.
You are watching Sky News. Do stay with us. Coming up, we'll have the latest on the breaking news that Iran has launched more than 100 drones as well as missiles to attack Israel.
Because you mentioned that Israel has to respond to the Iranian attack, obviously, but of course Iran would say that they had to respond to the attack on their consulate in Damascus. I mean, ultimately here you stop an escalation if there's a will to do so. Do you think there is a will to stop an escalation?
Yeah, but I understand what you're saying, but I think we shouldn't forget that the reason for Israel didn't just carry out a gratuitous attack against Iranian military commanders in Damascus. Ever since the 7th of October, Lebanese Hezbollah have been firing missiles almost every single day into Israel since the Gaza war began. And those attacks were planned and supplied and coordinated by these generals that Israel attacked. So it's not, this wasn't that.